ETFW. In our last episode, Brendan and I headed out to the Kurnell National Parks in hopes of resurrecting the long-lost stories of the infamous Kurnell Cliff Dwellers. Our adventure took us through the national park on a peaceful hike to a spot called Tabagai Gap. There we began our search for remnants of the cliffside huts which once occupied this beautiful landscape. Should you wish to view this episode, there will be a card on the top of the screen which will take you to it. In this episode, I decide to dust off the camera gear and head out for my very first adventure since settling into Queensland. My journey takes me to an infamously haunted location on the Gold Coast, where I attempt to search for evidence or proof on whatever haunts this mysterious location. This is ETFW. Follow me as I explore Ernest Junction Tunnel.
I'm Nadine Gray from the TV and YouTube show Haunted Down Under, and I'm here to talk about the Ernest Junction Tunnel. So the first time I visited the tunnel was several years ago. It was before I joined Haunted Down Under, and the first thing that came to mind is how dark it was, even during the day. So I went during the day first before going at night. And in the middle of the tunnel, in the middle of the day, it was so incredibly dark. It had this peaceful yet creepy vibe to it. And I just remember thinking, if it's so dark now, what is it going to be like at night? When I returned at night, it didn't matter how much lighting we had. It was just so incredibly dark. Walking from one end to the tunnel to the other, it is quite an eerie feeling. You sort of have this feeling like someone is always watching you. I'm unsure if it's like an effect, an illusion being in the tunnel because of the way that it curves. But I just remember feeling uneasy at night, probably because of how dark it was. And I just remember thinking, this place is incredible. I can't believe it's so close to where I live and I didn't know about it. Rumors of satanic worship in the 80s. What's interesting about that is I couldn't really find much information on Google about that. But speaking to some friends, some people that I know that have lived in the area for quite a long time, they all say the same thing, that it was known for that sort of ritualistic kind of worship, and that's sort of what it was notorious for back then. There's also a rumour of a boy that died there and a homeless man. It definitely has a lot of rumours versus what actually happened as to why people say it's haunted. And what's interesting is when we did our episode 1 there from season 1, we had a very clear EVP of a woman saying to Hayley, go back to them. Clear as day, whole sentence. And I don't recall seeing anything in our notes about a woman passing there. So whatever might be there might not necessarily be in any history books, but we believe it's haunted based on a number of different experiences that we've had there. Connect mappings, the EVPs that we've caught there, the unusual K2 hits, considering it's an abandoned tunnel with no electrical wires or anything near it. So there's a lot of interesting things that happen there to why it might be haunted. And interestingly enough, not long after that, we had someone set off a firecracker on the other end of the tunnel. And we sent Hayley down by herself to the middle of the tunnel to come back. And then we were sitting down listening back to the recorder when we heard that. And it was just interesting that the EVP said, go back to them, almost like a warning. So to me, that is probably the most incredible piece of paranormal evidence we've caught at the tunnel. And we have also in the past had some interesting SB 7 and 11 communications that were quite head scratching. Sort of go, is that something? It sounded like something. So those are the ones that definitely stand out to me from memory when we've been down there. Creepy, eerie, dark, and we always seem to get something there, whether it be minor K2 hits, some sounds, or the Connect mappings. We always seem to get something there, and I absolutely love investigating the tunnel.
So if there are any spirits here tonight, my name's Ricky, here with my friend Gabby. Just like to communicate to you, get to know you, learn a little bit about you. Using this pendulum board here, feel free to communicate with it. Feel free to interact with anything around us if you like. If there are any spirits here, are you able to let me know through this pendulum board? How many spirits are we interacting with right now? Like 3. To the spirit that I'm communicating with, are you a male or female? P. Have you lived a human life? Yes.
Yes, okay.
Are you able to tell me the year in which you started residing in this tunnel, or perhaps the year that you possibly died here? Did you actually die here? Yes. Are you able to tell me the year in which you died here?
Sorry, I'm not even watching this camera. I'm getting real shaky.
9, 19, 1980, 1987.
It's really not that long ago, it's 34 years ago.
Is the year 1987 which you're trying to say? Yes. Are you able to tell me your name? Would you like to tell us your name? T. Maybe not. Are you a female? Yes. So again, are you able to tell me your name? Are you able to give me your name? Are you able to spell it out for me?
She's saying no.
It's like kind of keeps swinging towards T, but then just stops. Again, to the spirit I was communicating to, feel free to interact with this device in my hand. If there's anything you'd like to say, anything you'd like to say to me at all. You have to tell me a little bit about yourself. Are you able to tell me why you still haunt this place? Is there a reason that you still haunt this place? Do you feel as if you can't move on because of the events in which you died here? So again, a few answers, nothing really, I guess you could say, that's too much of a standout. It does seem that we're communicating to the spirit of potentially a lady that was here, similar to kind of what the girls from Haunted Down Under have told us about their interactions here with a female presence or a female spirit of some sort. From what we know, she did die or passed here in, I believe it was 1987. She doesn't really seem to want to tell us how she passed, but she was 57 at the time. Now, there is a rumour that there was a homeless man that passed away here, but potentially the story could have got a little bit jumbled up along the way somewhere, and perhaps it wasn't a homeless man, perhaps it could have been a homeless woman for all we know. But I think we'll ask a couple more questions, see what we can get, see if we can find out a little bit more about this spirit, and then try to figure out, once we get home, try to do some research and see if any of these answers or any of the interactions we've had tonight are able to somewhat tell us who she was, tell us a little bit about her story, tell us a little bit about her history. Maybe there's some information online that can lead us in the right direction. Anyways, we'll keep investigating, we'll see what we pick up. So again, to the spirit that we're communicating to, are you still here with us? If you are you able to cross the rods in front of me? So to the spirit I was communicating to, there is a story, a kind of rumour of a homeless man that was killed here or died here. Is that story not a homeless man, but is it a homeless female? And are you that female that died? If so, are you able to point both rods to my left-hand side for me? During the 1980s, this place was believed to be used for worship, and in particular a lot of satanic worship and a lot of satanic rituals that went on down here. You told us that you died through the 80s. Did you die during some sort of satanic ritual or satanic worship, or was there any involvement in anything satanic that was involved in your death? If so, are you able to widen both rods all the way back to my body? To the spirit that I'm communicating to, were you murdered down here? If so, are you able to point both rods to my right? To the spirit that I'm communicating to, is it a subject that you don't like talking about perhaps? If so, are you able to move both rods to my left? Is it something that you're still trying to cope with? Something that you're still trying to process?
Sorry, I'm getting a bit shaky. My head's starting to kill a little bit.
I'll ask a few more.
Yeah, no,
To the spirit that I'm communicating with, do you feel like you're stuck here in a loop, replaying that night that you died? If so, can you widen both rods all the way back to my body?
Sorry, I'm not getting a very good angle on this. Okay.
To widen both rods back to my body if you're here stuck in a loop, replaying that night over and over again.
Oh, it's horrible.
I've asked this on a bunch of different investigations, the same sort of question. I always seem to get the same answer with it. To the spirit that I'm communicating with, there's two ends of the tunnel. Are you able to point the rod, both rods, in the direction of which end of the tunnel you died towards, or you died at? this side. So yeah guys, in terms of any sort of weird feelings down here, and sort of, I don't really get anything that's sort of malicious or anything that sort of makes me feel like we're in danger down here. Kind of as we're saying, a lot of the spirits or whatever spirits we were communicating to seem to be just simply stuck here or in somewhat of a loop. But it doesn't really feel like anything is harmful or anything is dangerous, as you'd say. But I'm curious to see what sort of evidence I can pick up at home, what I can find out from the answers that we've got tonight. So I think with that said, we'll head home, try to investigate and try to research some of the answers that we got. See if we can maybe find out a little bit more about this spirit and potentially revisit this location once we know a little bit more about what we're dealing with. Anyways, with that said, I'll pick it up in a bit. Upon further investigating the evidence I acquired within the Ernest Junction Tunnel, I was led down nothing but dead ends. Unfortunately, information regarding any deaths during 1987 involving a female does not appear online. Perhaps this poor soul's story is lost, waiting to be heard and waiting to be discovered. I intend to return to the tunnel in the near future and continue my investigation and hopefully unearth more evidence as to who or what truly resides in this location. With that said, I do hope you enjoyed this short episode. I believe in transparency, and I'll admit that finding my rhythm and getting back out filming since moving to Queensland has been rather difficult. In Sydney, I left behind my friends, my comforts. Up here, it's just me, my camera, and all of you. So while finding my feet may take some time, I am truly lucky to have all of you by my side while I embark on this journey. So here's the first of many more videos to come. This is ETFW. Thank you for watching.